Hi, hello. Okay, so this is a tutorial about how to draw your desk that you've already done in 2D into a 3D file. So first I'm going to open up my 2D version of my desk. 2D desk demo. That's a good one. Let's see if it's in there. Once I've opened that file, I'm going to, yeah, it's updating things, it's doing stuff. I'm going to save as in order to create a new file in 3D. So if I go to File, let's just save as, and then it'll write over this. So this is going to be 3D desk. You would put your name and like be all legit about it, but for me, this is cool. Okay, so it says this up here. Great. I can now delete these viewports because I'm going to create them again, but after I draft this 3D version. So I'm going to go back to my scenery layer. Holding, reading, moving. Great. Okay. So I'm going to take my 2D desk that I drafted, and I'm going to use it as a guide as I go into building a 3D model of this desk, okay? So I'm using the same pieces that I have and then converting this whole deal into 3D. So in a lot of ways, I'm just figuring out how it all would fit together. I'm going to start by grabbing the top of the desk. That's going to be my first piece. Let's see real quick how tall it is. So the thickness of the tabletop, it looks like is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to grab my tabletop over here and I'm going to extrude. So extrude is when we take a two-dimensional polygon and we give it depth. So it's taking something from 2D into 3D. The keyboard shortcut on your Mac is Command E. It would be Control E on your PC. And I said 1.5 inches. Okay, so once I Command E, extrude, then I can go Shift C. I did know that it's going to do this, but it's cool. And I can see I now have some thickness that I did not have before. So now my desk is a thicker tabletop, which is great. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is move this tabletop up to the appropriate height. So if I go Command 5, okay, I don't know what happened there. All right, so let's do this step again. All right, so Shift C takes us into our flyover mode. We can move around. We can see that we're there. Then we'll use Command 5 to snap us back into top plan view. So the next thing I'm going to do is raise this tabletop up to the appropriate height. And I'm going to figure out what that height is using my dimension tool. I'm going to be like, hey, how tall is it to the bottom of that tabletop? 2 foot 4.5 inches. So now I can go grab my tabletop. I'm going to come over here to my object info and I'm going to make the bottom Z 2 foot 4.5 inches. Okay, so what I have just done is moved this tabletop 2 foot 4.5 inches from the ground. So now when I'm in Shift C mode, it is floating now above the ground. Okay, so I've managed to create that vertical height that the tabletop will be. Again, Command 5 snaps you back into top plan view. So the next thing I'm going to do is do this ring around the outside edge, right? This framing piece. I can either do that by drawing all 4 sides, or I could create just a rectangle, which would be inside of this existing table. I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So let me come down here. What was the dimension? So if we do a thing, 2.5 inches, that's useful to me, but let me move it over here. So 2.5 inches is how tall it's going to be. That'll be my extrusion in a minute. And did I do, this will all be your measurements, obviously, and not mine. 1.5 inches inset. So I'm going to come up here to my tabletop. I'm going to hit my X key to get my cursor back. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, trace this tabletop with a rectangle. I'm going to use my offset tool now and pick it up and move 1.5 inches inside. Great. So now I can delete my initial extra rectangle that I just drew. Click delete, delete. I'm now going to use my offset tool again. Maybe, let's see what dimension that should be based on my other drafting. So how much space is this? That's 1 inch. Great. So now I will change my offset with my offset tool to 1 inch. Okay, and pop that. Oops, I need to hold down Option or Alt on a PC. No. Let's try this again. Okay, selection tool. I also want to be drawing with, I don't know why I'm still drawing in blue, but that's not what I really want for my life. So grab my offset tool, bing. Part of my problem right now is that I'm drawing on that dimension class because that was where I was just working in this file. So I'm going to just grab all of these things and move them into the none class. No, I really am going to do that. And I'll do the same over here. I'm going to just change my active class to none so that I don't keep drawing weird blue dimension class items. Let's be black. Okay, great. So now this stuff is all in the appropriate class. Let's clip surface. Delete this interior surface. I don't need it. Delete, delete. There we go. Okay, so this piece, I now have a piece that fits around the inside. So it's like the framing. If I don't know if it had a clear piece on it, like I think that you could probably say these are mitered joints and not worry about the fact that you're not seeing an overlap. So for the purposes of our experiment, let's do that. And then I'm going to Command E. My extrusion is going to be 2.5 inches. Now I have, you will see, the little frame that should be sitting right underneath the tabletop, but it's sitting on the ground. So what I'm going to do in order to move it, and there are a bunch of different ways to do this, what I recommend is only drafting in square views, okay? So only drafting in top plan view or in front view or in side view so that you don't accidentally move things into dumb places, right? It's super easy to be like, I think I'm moving this here, right? I think I'm moving this under the table. Sure you are. But where I actually am could be basically anywhere. Okay, so in order to avoid that, I'm only going to draft from square views. So I'm going to be like, let's go to front view. And it's like, did you know? La la la. I did know, and I don't really want to talk about it. So now I'm looking at this from the front view. So I'm square to the table, and I can snap straight up into the tabletop. So if I go back into a random, Shift C into a random 3D view, you can see that it all lines up now and it's sitting directly under that table. So the next thing I'll do is go in and create my table legs. I'm probably going to sit those inside of the tabletop. So I can go about that a couple of different ways. I can grab this height, right, of 2 foot 2 inches. The width is 2.5 inches. I don't know, is this the same? It is. So I have a 2.5 inch square that I could draw seated inside of that table top, right? So I can just hit tab and say 2.5, 2.5, make that 2.5 inch square, extrude it the 2 feet 2 inches that would let it sit underneath this table, right? So now that table leg is coming in and it's sitting underneath that table. Because it's a 3D object, I might even want to change it up, right? And still drawing in blue. And extend it all the way to the tabletop. so that it kind of makes more sense in actual terms, because in actual terms that leg would extend all the way up to that tabletop. So let's look at how we might make that adjustment, okay? Maybe we should look at this from the side view, and so that would be this. Is that the view drop down? This is the view drop down. So let's look at like the right view. Okay, there it is. This is the right view. So now I can grab it and adjust it, snap it up to that object, okay? And I've now adjusted the height over here. Now it's 2 foot 4.5 inches, but it's still sitting in exactly the same location. I can also, from a top plan view, mirror an object like this, use basically the same commands I've been using. So I can be like, hey, go ahead and make a copy of yourself over here, right? I can now select the two of them, mirror that across the center the other direction. So as you can see, now the desk is kind of coming together, okay? You can figure out how to add in your cross pieces yourself. Your X on the side might be slightly trickier. What I would do is, if you're in top plan view, I would go in and grab this piece that you've already constructed, and hopefully you've constructed it as a vector solid, because then you can duplicate it, right? You can bring it out over here, duplicate it. You can extrude it about 1 inch, something like 1 inch, right? Now we have a 3-dimensional crossbar, right? So cute, so nice. I can move to this side view, like the right side view, sure, okay, and rotate it from its baseline, right, into a vertical position. Oh no, it's not liking me. So what that is because of is because you are working in a working plane mode. So this is on the layer plane. If you change your working plane to the screen plane, now, once you've picked up an object like this, you should be able to, relative to the screen plane, rotate it into the vertical position. Clicky, clicky, vertical. So now, in our little world, we have a tiny crossbar. Now, I may not have been in the correct orientation. No, I'm good. Okay, so now I have my little crossbar that'll fit in between my 2 legs. If I go back into top plan view, I can rotate it once again, okay, to fit it into that location. So I can be like, hey friend, come over here, join me at my 3-dimensional table. Bing, thank you. Zoomy, 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 and rotate you into that location. Look at that shit. That's adorable. And then I can center it up in between the table legs. Grab that from the midpoint, pop her on in there, right? Once I have that in that correct vertical orientation, I'll go back into a side view and I'll raise it up to the appropriate height inside of the table, whatever that was in my previous drawing. So now I have that cross piece built into the side of the table. Wowzers, there's a big drawing over there. Okay, so does this all make sense? I hope it does. Once you've done all of those steps and you have your 3D table model, so cute. Uh-oh, I've lost myself. Let's zoom to my page, zoom to my object. It's getting a little stressed with my various movings about. So once you've finished it, right, so you could mirror this across and put in your bottom crosses pieces and your far side cross pieces, then I'll have you plate it. And the way that you'll plate it, it will end up looking exactly like the version that you drafted in 2D, but in this case, it'll all be 3-dimensional. So I'm going to start a new video for that, and then we'll go from there.